Hi again people, it's me again obviously, Moreno Ravenberg. Yeah, as you can tell from the header as always and as usual, this video is going to be about channeling energy, specific types of energy. Now this is essentially for magicians that are well versed in magic, at least at a basic level, let alone the more advanced ones. This is a cool trick essentially. Before I continue, check the article that this video will be embedded in, linked in the description of this video, the way I always and as usual do. There is an article associated with this video. Simply check the link in the description and enjoy. I'll essentially be saying, I'll be elaborating more, etc. and whatnot in the article compared to this video. Now, it's simply a cool trick. As a magician, essentially, you can convert your energy to any kind of energy you want, anything you can think of. Nothing more or less is off limits, believe me. I've done it in the past before. For example, I have simply generated and converted my own energy to anything you can think of. Wind, fire, ice, nature, plants, anything. Okay, the earth, anything. It's not just elements. Anything you can think of. Poison, pollution like smog. I've done it all. I've channeled mental illness, I've channeled anything you can think of, okay? Anything, like really weird shit. And usually the recipient or the person that I wanted to bear witness to me generating the energy and essentially passing it on to him or her. This person, the people I did it with were also magicians, obviously. They felt it, to say the least. I've channeled lightning, for example, and every single time the answer was hilarious because it was like, holy crap, I feel like so staticky. It's like lightning is running through my body, little lightning, like I'm outside and it's a huge thunderstorm. So again, I know how successful this is. In this video, I'm gonna keep this video short. Like I said, read the article. One example I can give, because you can say, okay, that's a cool trick and all, but oh, by the way, also even another example, water. You can also channel water. Now, you can say to yourself, okay, that's nice and well, you know, that's a cool trick, but does it have any practical purposes at all? I mean, what is practical by mundane people standards, or what's practical by mundane standards in global society? You know, what can you do with it that can actually be of use of someone? I'm only going to give one example, great example at that, something that I have done. If it's, for example, winter time, you can keep yourself warm and you won't have to like wear 2 or 3 items of clothing over your original pair of clothing with a jacket on top, etc., or with a thingy, with a coat. For example, imagine that it's like 5 degrees outside, 5 degrees Celsius. Obviously, if you're dressed like me, you're going to get sick, you're going to catch pneumonia or similar, like really horrible. Regardless of what season it is, just imagine that it's 5 degrees outside. If you're proficient enough, provided that you know your stuff, you can essentially devote a good portion of your energy, like a nuclear reactor. You simply generate energy and you convert it to heat. And you essentially give the command to your energy, maintain my body heat, see to it that my body remains nice and warm. For example, 15 degrees or 20 degrees. See to it that my body is nice and warm and that it stays that way. Keep converting. And your body will act essentially, your astral body, your spirit will act like a nuclear reactor, and your energy will keep converting stuff. And you'll see that instead of having to wear all that crap, you only have to wear like a t-shirt and another long sleeve shirt over it, and that's it. You'll see that again, you go outside, it's 5 degrees, you'll notice that, hey, it's not as bad. You know, it's actually bearable. Okay, the overall temperature that you feel is like it's 10 degrees outside, 15 degrees. It all depends on how skilled you are in this, how well versed, how experienced, and how much energy you're devoting to the whole the operation as a whole. And again, it's like, you can simply turn it on and off like a light switch essentially. And even if you forget by any chance, that's okay. Your astral body, your spirit will essentially, since it works by your intent, it'll sense when you essentially don't need it anymore. Let's just say you got home, you turn the heater up, but you're already done. You don't have to generate energy anymore. But you simply forget. There are a couple of things that distracted you. your astral body is going to turn it off for you. It'll go into autopilot mode and it will say, okay, we're already home, no need more to convert energy, and it will simply go to its default. It'll make you go to your default spiritual state. You'll simply revert back to your base form, if you will, so to speak. And yeah, that's a cool example. I have done this, not that I've been exposed to winter, but I have been in one or two situations. One situation was when I was abroad and I was in a cab, and the cab driver had the AC all the way up, and his AC worked really good or really well, to the point where it was like 10 degrees in the car, and I was like, okay, no problem, but the AC outlet is pointing directly at my hand, and my hand is freezing over essentially. Usually the smallest body parts become affected and are therefore more prone to being subject to catching frostbite, like your fingers and your toes, etc. And it essentially bugged me a little. I was like, okay, I love the cold, but there is such a thing as too much of the good stuff, and my hand is starting to freeze over. So what I did essentially is that, just like I did, I converted my energy to fire or to heat, and I directed it towards my hand specifically. And the result was that I was nice and warm, essentially. I regulated the temperature I wanted to feel, and the AC felt just like wind, and that's it. But I didn't feel the cold anymore. But the smallest body parts are also the hardest to affect. You really need to devote extra energy to keeping your hand warm. And it did work, but it only worked partially by my own standards. But that's also because I wasn't willing to devote a lot of energy to the whole thing. I was like, yeah, listen, I'm not going to bother. It's not that big of a deal, so why bother? But yeah, I have done this twice. I can't remember another instance, but I do remember having done it another time as well. I've done it as well in the heat, for example, where I want it to be a bit colder, and it actually worked nice. Although the cold, by my standards, it felt more like moistness, like water. It felt like it was nighttime and it was like a full moon and I was standing outside. It felt like typical lunar energy, more or less, honestly. Otherwise, you specifically have to channel ice. You literally have to focus purely on the cold, as in icy cold, like winter. And yeah, that's essentially it. Let me know if you have any questions, and goodbye until next time, as usual.